All right, welcome everybody. Here we are, back in the Longitude in our beloved 3 Bravo Whiskey, descending, as you can see. Take a wild guess as to where we are just by looking out that window. I'll give you $1. Descending through 31,000 feet down to 10,000, where we've been instructed to descend. Just 80 miles from the airport. Where are we going? We took off from San Jose, where we had that wild approach last time. And we're going to Colorado Springs, KCOS, Kilo Charlie Oscar Sierra. Interesting, very interesting approach into KCOS. Switch over to RNAV. I had it on heading bug to deal with, heading on the autopilot, heading control to deal with the oscillation roll issue, but it's no big deal. Anyway, we are headed, as I said, to Colorado Springs, and a very interesting approach to Colorado Springs. It actually has us flying, as you can see, basically just north of the airport, past the airport, heading east, and then making a big U-turn heading west to Olape. You can see that waypoint right there. Then to Nubsi, where we make a big left turn to the south. We're laying at runway 17 left. At Nubsi, according to the approach plate, we want to be at 9,500 feet. At Rock, R-O-C-C-K, we want to be at 8,700 feet. At Jeslo, we want to be at 7,580 feet. The airport elevation is 6,187 feet, and the approach course is 172. Now, this is the RNAV approach, but there just happens to be an ILS approach to the same exact runway. Now, you may ask, well, why didn't you just pick the ILS approach then? Well, because it was goofy, if that makes sense. Let's slow down here and increase our descent rate. It was goofy on the setup page. It had us going all over creation. But that doesn't mean I can't still make use of the ILS approach, which I absolutely intend to do. So we will go ahead and enter that ILS frequency, which happens to be 109.1. I'm just using this sort of as a backup plan. But if you've got an ILS frequency that you can use when you're getting ready to turn final, use it, because you won't regret it. Minimums for this airport, which is so high up, airport elevation 6,187 feet, as I said, minimums are 6,387, barometric minimums, 6,387. So we've entered our minimums now. Okay, so we're 60 miles out now. We're at 24,000 feet. Now, of course, you might say, wait a minute, 60 miles out, shouldn't you be at 18,000 feet? You'd be right, but I guess I should really amend my what would I call it, my sort of general approach, descent and approach rubric, to be that it's whatever number I mention, it's that high above the airport's elevation, not above sea level, but above the airport's elevation. And because Colorado Springs is so high up at 6,187 feet, we need to amend our approach altitude levels. And it's just 20.6 Cessna 3 Bravo Whiskey. Good day.
120.6 Cessna 3 Bravo Whiskey. Colorado Springs approach Cessna November 34 3 Bravo Whiskey is out of flight level 225 for 10,000 feet.
So anyway, we're 50 miles out now.
Cessna November 34 3 Bravo Whiskey, Colorado Springs approach continue to Olape as planned.
And normally at 15,000 feet you'd want... And when I say we're 50 miles out, I don't mean we're 50 miles from the airport. We're not 50 miles from the airport. Here are we. Here's the airport. That's funny. They hand us off to Colorado Springs Approach, who then hands us off to Denver Center. That's not realistic. Anyway, my point is, we're 50 miles left on our route. Okay. Now, I see an airplane right here. Oh, he was there a second ago. I don't know where he went. Anyway, I was concerned. I saw that airplane, and it was headed north. I don't know if it was actually just at the airport, if that's what I was seeing, or if it was on final. But I'll tell you, the sims nailed the real weather in Colorado Springs, because the real weather in Colorado Springs is 46 degrees, although the sim is saying it's partly cloudy. It looks pretty clear to me. But the point is that the winds in real life are out of the southeast at 11 miles an hour. They were also out of the south on the setup page. So for once, it looks like we might actually be landing on the right runway. It happens occasionally. 44 miles out. Remember, at 40 miles out, we would customarily expect to be at... It's funny, they hand us back to approach. Betty says the nearest altimeter is 29903. And she's right. 29903. Anyway, hold on. 40 miles out, you'd customarily expect to be at 12,000 feet, right? We're at 16,500 feet, but remember, the airport's at 6,000 feet above sea level, so we can shallow out our descent rate because we're at 16,200 feet, which is 4,000 feet higher than you'd customarily expect, but 2,000 feet lower than we would need to be for an airport of this elevation. So, managing this descent more or less well. See, here we are. The airport is, if I can show you, we're literally, let's see if we can go outside and see it. There's the airport. 17 left. We're going to be landing here in, I don't know, 10 minutes, 9 minutes. So it's. I know it seems a little weird, but to be passing over the airport that you're going to be landing at. But that's the truth. Now, as to why they have this approach, search me. I don't know. It may have something to do with the fact that the Rocky Mountains are behind us, and that affects the approach they want you to take. So 9,500. Now they're clearing us down to 9,500 feet. Again, it's not a randomly selected number. 9,500 feet is the altitude you would No, that's a mistake. They shouldn't be doing that. We should be at 9,500 feet at Nubsy and 8,700 feet at Rock. So why they would tell us to descend to 8,700? Anyway, Nubsy's altitude is 9,500. Rock's altitude is 8,700. So we're going to maintain our planned descent to 9,500 feet.
Cessna November 343 Bravo Whiskey Colorado Springs Tower. Cleared RNAV Yankee runway 17 left approach. Altimeter 29.9 6 wind 121 at 20.
30 miles out, 13,500 feet. But again, you'd normally expect to be at 9,000 feet at 30 miles out. 9,000 plus 6 is 15,000, and we're at 13,500. So if anything, we're a little bit low, but not dangerously so. Continue slowing. Beautiful late afternoon in Colorado. Nice weather. Whether or not, no pun intended, whether or not it's entirely consistent with real life. The temperature, 46 degrees, and the skies, the skies in real life are listed as partly cloudy. That ain't partly cloudy in my book. Well, there's some clouds. I'm gonna latch onto those clouds and justifying the partly cloudy description. But you can see what's happening right here. We're in the midst of this big U-turn. I'll show you here as well. In the midst of this big U-turn, and I'm not officially doing an ILS approach, but I'm going to use the ILS, the Instrument Landing System, to help me on this landing. Continue slowing. Speed's fine. I mean, we're 12,700 feet. We're at 230. We're coming up on Olape or Olape, whatever you want to call it. 48 seconds from Olape. Increase our descent rate a little bit. Remember, I don't know where we're supposed to be at Olape. Actually, I do, but in terms of the approach plate, we need to be at 9,500 feet at Nubsy. Okay? 9,500 feet at Nubsy. So right now this approach is going really well. Take it. That's a nice screenshot. It's going really well. Okay, so we're making our left turn at Olape or whatever you want to call it. And then when we get to Nubsy, we're going to make a gigantic left turn. So we'll turn off our bank limiter. There it is right there. You see bank. And that'll allow us to turn more steeply, which we're going to need to be able to do, because that's a hell of a turn. The distance between Nubsy and Rock is 5.4, and the distance between Rock and Jeslo is 3.5. The distance between Jeslo and the airport is 4.2. So it's a nice long final. 5 plus 3 plus 4 plus 1 with change. About a 13-mile final, which I'm happy to take. And we have a nice long runway. 17 left's got a 11,022 foot long runway, which works for me. All right, so we're getting ready to make that left turn. There's the airport. There it still is. That's what we just flew over a couple minutes ago. Just keep slowing. All right, now what we'll do now is switch over our nav source to nav 1, which will now handle our left turn to begin intercepting the localizer. The glide slope, which we have access to, which is more reliable than the glide path, if you ask me, is showing us too low. Well, not too low, but low. Let's go ahead and reset our altitude, because we have not intercepted that glide slope yet. We'll reset it to minimums of 6,400. And we're just going to hold here, but as you can see, this glide slope diamond is coming down, which is good. So you should expect a left turn here in a minute. You got to start slowing down more. Let's get our landing lights on. Depressurize. It's okay to depressurize at 9,600. Perhaps noticeable, but okay. 185 on our KIAS. There's the runway. Now we're a little bit slightly high. I'm going to switch over to APPR, but not quite yet. I want to be on. I want to have intercepted the localizer, at least close to intercepting the localizer before I switch over to APPR. Let's continue slowing. Let's do 1 notch of flaps. Actually, I said that was our runway. That's 17 right. We're actually landing on 17 left. Right here. There it is. Okay. Just make out one red. Let's do gear.
Landing gear.
There we go. It's going perfectly right now. Okay, she's lining up beautifully. Continue slowing. Reconfirm, always reconfirm. Gear down. We got one notch of flaps left, which we'll do in just a second. And we're a little too high now, so let's continue slowing. And now we'll engage APPR.
Cessna 3 Bravo Whiskey cleared to land runway 17 left. Wind 121 at 20.
121. So a crosswind. See, that's funny. 121 would suggest that it's coming from this direction, but the onboard equipment says it's coming from this direction. Either way, welcome to sim life. I changed my approach speed because I've been noticing that I believe the 149 approach speed is too high. So I set it at 140 on the speed bug, which you can make out there. AP stands for approach.
3 mile final runway 17 left.
Looks good. Colorado Springs down there for the passengers' benefit. Oh, that's a great screenshot. All right, sorry, I got to work. Glide slope's perfect. Dead center. Deactivate the auto or disconnect the auto throttle. Wait for the 500 call out. Feet on the pedals. Here comes it.
500.
Here it comes.
500.
Autopilot.
Autopilot.
I have the airplane. Got my eye on the Vossi there, just to the left of the runway. Looks to me like 2 whites, 3 whites and 1 red, 2 whites and 1 red. Airspeed's good. Yeah, I was doing research, and I think the in-sim approach of 149 is too high. So, okay, I got 2 and 2. Stand by. Runway 17 left. Little bounce. Jesus Christ. These crazy winds. Alright, it's alright. Oh, I'm using that right rudder like a crazy man. Alright, here's our exit up ahead on the right. Woo! Damn! That was crazy. We handled it, but that was a hell of a crosswind. 14 knots coming from our left. Here's our exit. All right. I'll take it.
Bravo Whiskey contact ground on 121.7.
Welcome to Colorado Springs.
121.7 for Cessna 3 Bravo.
Local time, 5:07 p.m. Let's contact ground before I forget. I've been doing that lately. I need to not... I can't be forgetting to contact ground. Taxi to parking. Let's get some arrows. Look outside. Oh, look how pretty. Bring in those spoilers. And, well, you know what I just realized? Oh shit, I never went full flaps. Well,
Taxiing to general aviation parking using taxiway Alpha Charlie Foxtrot Cessna 3 Bravo Whiskey.
that's not a deal breaker, but I should have gone full flaps. Should have gone full flaps, but you can certainly land an airplane without full flap deployment. But it just, I guess my commentary on that would be that I was doing some research on the Longitude, and the approach speeds obviously depend on a number of things: the weight of the aircraft, the weight of the aircraft and the winds, the altitude at which the aircraft is landing, and so forth. But for whatever reason, the default approach speed for the Longitude is always 149. That's what it's listed as. 149 always, without regard to circumstances. And that's more than a little unrealistic. In a real aircraft with a sophisticated equipment like this, you would input all that stuff: the wind, your weight, the altitude of the airport you're landing at, and it would spit out the appropriate approach speed. So I've been sort of adopting the 149 approach speed no matter what. But I've noticed on some of my landings that the airplane doesn't seem like it's close to stalling, even when it's down to as low as 120 knots. God, that plane's pretty. Isn't that beautiful? Jesus. So, you know, what you want is the airplane to be at or near stall speed when you're landing. I mean, you want to have the plane going as slow as is still safe, but as slow as possible when it's wheels down. And well, let me turn off the timer. 2 hours, 1 minute, 24 seconds. I was expecting about a 2-hour flight, so that's perfect. Anyway, my point in saying all that is that full flaps would normally be expected on an approach, but that's when you're approaching at the lowest possible and safe speed. And I backed off the 100. Look at that. That's kind of cool. I backed off the 149 knot recommended approach speed by setting it at 140, and I felt a little like, oh gosh, maybe I shouldn't do that. You know, maybe I should set it. But I said no. Everything I've read suggests that this plane's approach speed, particularly given the fact that I only ever have one passenger, and we don't have a lot of fuel on the plane for a short flight like this, or comparatively short for an aircraft like this. So anyway, I guess what I'm trying to say is that 140 knots is faster than I needed to be, and thus full flaps weren't necessarily required. But still, that was just dumb luck, the fact that full flaps weren't required, and shame on me for not deploying full flaps. All right, quarter mile here from parking space. Beautiful. Yeah, I guess kind of partly cloudy. I don't know, it seems like a stretch to me, but outside air temperature's 8 degrees, so that's about 46.
Cessna 3 Bravo Whiskey. Hold position caution. Other traffic.
Yeah, I'm not going to hold my position, honey. He's out of my way, darling.
Cessna 3 Bravo Whiskey. Continue taxi.
Well, thank you. That was nice of you.
Hold position
There's our parking over there off to the left. Anyway, beautiful, what is today? January 21st. Beautiful day. January 21st, 2021. 1/21/21 here in Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs ground. Silver Hawk Tree. 84 requesting pushback.
There's another simmer that's getting ready to take off.
Colorado Springs ground. Silver Hawk Tree. 84 no pushback truck is available to answer your request.
Oh, no pushback. He got fucked too, just like I did. He must be at the fuel station like I was the time that This guy better get out of my way. He must be at the fuel station, the fuel box. Turn off our taxi light. Don't really need it here as we're getting ready to park. Yeah, I once started the game at the fuel box, and a couple of missions ago, a couple of flights ago, and was told that I couldn't get pushed back. So that must have been what just happened to him. All right, here we go. Here we go. Parking. Give a little quick little right turn, then we'll pull here to the left. We'll wait for our flashlights.
Colorado Springs ground, Silver Hawk Tree, 84 with India ready to taxi IFR. Silver Hawk Tree, 84 taxi to and hold short of runway 17
Nice, okay.
by taxiway Foxtrot, Charlie Hotel, cross runway 13 Hotel Delta.
Okay, so there we are. You can actually see us there.
Decimal niner when ready.
Let's get that parking brake on. Let's go outside and just look at our beautiful girl. Ooh,
Taxi to and hold short runway 17 right by
there's a
taxiway
big boy.
Foxtrot, Charlie Hotel, cross runway
What is he
13
doing?
Hotel Delta.
He's pirouetting. Anyway, welcome to Colorado Springs. That's some crazy engine sounds. I suspect that's a simmer. It's a big airplane to be leaving from this tiny airport. Well, actually, you know what? It's not a tiny airport. It has 1.2 million people a year going through it, but still. Okay. All right, let's finish. Let's wrap this up. All right. Kill the engines. Okay. Welcome to Colorado Springs. We're happy to be here. Drop to the logbook screen. There we go. Wheels up, wheels down was 156.25. So a nice 2-hour flight from KSJC to KCOS. We'll see where we head next. Thanks for joining us.